Okay, so the idea for this video came from a patient we are currently treating who is about a month out from doing a half Ironman. So knowing that he's about a month out, right, he's kind of peaking with all his mileage of his running and his cycling and his swimming, all those things. And he's looking for, he asked me, he's like, Joel, what are a couple of exercises that I can be doing? Just maybe 4 or 5 that would be the key ones I need to do to maintain strength in my muscles outside of the things that I'm doing, right? As far as the actual activities that will help me as far as keeping away some of the aches and pains, making sure I don't get injured as I'm in this high mileage time leading into a race, okay? And this is a really common issue, right? And that's why I'm kind of making this video is a lot of people, as they're ramping up towards the event, whether it be a long bike race, training for a marathon, a half marathon, or a longer distance triathlon, you're already kind of fatigued, right? From just doing all the training. And it is when you're fatigued that injuries more likely can happen. And so it's good to continue to do just a little bit of strength training, right? Not too much, because if you do a little, in my opinion, if you're adding a bunch of strength training or doing too much strength training, you're just adding too much load to a system that's already a little bit taxed, right? And so you don't want to do too much. But I do find that doing just a little bit does help keep some of the problems away, especially in some of the more common areas as far as the lower extremity, right? And so that's the idea behind this video. So I wanted to give you today, I've got 4 that I came up with, and it's really hard to narrow it down, honestly, right? Like, and I mean, all physical therapists are guilty of giving too many exercises, and I'm one of them. And so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to challenge myself to do just 4 exercises. What would be the 4 key ones that I want someone to do as kind of a maintenance type thing as they're moving into an event, right? So the first one is a calf raise, okay? So with running, you're using a large proportion of your propulsion going forward is the calf, right? Some studies show it's over 60%. And so the calf raise that I like to do, and this style of doing it I got from Chris Johnson, who's another physical therapist, just to give him props on here, is to have your foot up on a box, okay, like this. And this is to just put you in a position where your weight is over the foot, and this helps you just keep balance. And then it's good to have your knee behind your hip, because that's the position of your leg when you're in the push-off of the running gait, okay? And then a key portion of this that is often missed is when you do a heel raise like this to work your calves, that you need to make sure that you're going on to the big toe. So a common position fault that a lot of people do is when they do a heel raise, they kind of roll out onto the 4 lateral toes instead of the big toe, which is what you're going to be pushing off when you're running. So if your strength is at a point where you're not using any weight to do this, then I like to have people have their hands behind their heads, and then they're just pushing up onto that big toe and back down. You're not going as high as you possibly can. You're only going about 2/3 of the way up, okay? Now, another placement, hand placement or way to do this that I got from Chris is to put your opposite, the same side hand on the opposite knee. And what that does is it sort of helps you keep your pelvis straight so that you're less likely to go out over the other toes, right? So it looks just sort of like this, pushing up onto that big toe, okay? And then if you're using weight, then you would put weight into this hand over here, hand here, again, pushing up onto that big toe in this position there. So the key to doing that exercise is to do it really smooth, almost as if you're using a metronome, trying to just make it go up, down, up, down. You don't want to be in here and just kind of bouncing quickly or having to pause and take a break, right? It should be smooth up and down onto that big toe. And then higher reps with this, I like to have people do 25 a lot of times, sometimes 30, sometimes 20, but in that higher rep range to be able to just keep some good calf activity going, okay? So a lot of times, this is one of the strains that seems to come up with people as they're a little overworked. They've been doing a lot of running, cycling, and swimming, and they'll get a calf strain headed right into the event, right? And I always, kind of one of my favorite sayings, it's harder to get to the starting line of a race than it is to the finish line. And just getting that starting line and making sure you're not injured is key. So do the calf raises, 2 to 3 rounds of that 20 to 25 rep range is really good, okay? Now, another exercise that I like to do, and this one I was kind of debating, do I do like a step up? But I really think the Bulgarian split squats would probably be the best one because it gets your quads, your glutes, your hamstrings. So the second exercise I'd like to do as a maintenance for an upcoming race is the Bulgarian split squat. So coming out into this position here, okay, foot up on a box, going down and back up. Now, the problem with this one that I see a lot is people do not keep their core engaged, right, positionally with this. So a lot of times what I'll see is people sort of like bending forward like this. So you really have to keep your trunk upright, just going straight down and coming straight back up, just like this, okay? But I find that one is a good all-around lower extremity, hits all the muscles in a really specific way, and is just one of the best ones for lower extremity that doesn't seem to irritate people's joints as much as some, like instead of doing, I prefer this over doing lunges, just seems to be a little bit easier on people's knees. And if you're a runner and your knees are just a little cranky from putting out a bunch of mileage, then I like this one better. You can do weight, just like I showed you there. This one I tend to do in the 10 to 15 rep range when people are training for a race. A little bit of endurance, a little bit of strength. But that's the number 2 exercise, is the Bulgarian split squats. Okay. The next one, which targets the hamstring and the hip, would be a single leg Romanian deadlift. This is exercise number 3. So seems like we get a lot of runners with glute tendinitis, right? So there's a lot of exercises that you can do for that, or just they're starting to get glute tendinitis. The single leg Romanian deadlift does hit these glute muscles really well, and obviously the hamstring, which is the main muscle that you're trying to work. So, the strains that I'm trying to prevent typically in a runner tend to be glute, hamstring, and calf. Those are the ones I see the most. Not as much quad, but those 3, they're all on the back side of the body, okay? So this single leg Romanian deadlift hits the glute and the hamstring in a way that I like it for runners specifically. So to demonstrate the form for that, just move this out of the way. Again, having some weight, and I'll kind of show you this on 2 different planes. You're basically going to get into this position like so, okay? And you're going to bring your weight down, bring the weight past the knee, and then come back up. And so in this view, what I want you to note is that you want to keep your back flat, okay? And that is how we know that you're keeping control of the hip. So if you can maintain this back flat position, right, as opposed to turning to the side, the back flat position, that you're having to keep that glute and those glute external rotators working and active to help maintain that flat position as you rotate through the single leg deadlift, okay? So that's a key component of that. From the side, it looks like this, right? Going down, heel towards the ceiling, and then coming back up. okay? Making sure that you're not, as you're going down, just the normal position or tension of your hamstrings is what's causing that knee to bend a little bit. Mistake I see a lot with this is people kind of go through it and then they just lower down. Don't lower down, okay? This is all basically the same as like you wouldn't do a deadlift and like lower down. It's the same in the single leg, just into this position and back up, okay? This I like to do in about the 10 rep range. 10 to 12 reps, lower weight, really concentrating on the up position that you're pulling that weight up, keeping that back nice and flat as you go through this. Okay, so that's exercise number 3. The 4th exercise that I like to do for maintenance is to work on just posture a little bit. Okay, so, and we do that through a marching exercise. So taking a band and bringing it across your chest, right? So that you're having to extend that back position like this, okay? And what this exercise is good for is just really that, especially for endurance events, as you're getting longer into your run, or obviously if you've done a triathlon, the run's the last thing, just really helping you keep that upright posture so you don't end up running like this, okay? So it's good for the upper back. It's good for just helping your running posture overall. And then it's really good for just, you're getting a nice steady contraction in your feet, your hip, your core as you maintain this position. So the idea of doing this marching is to be upright like this. You want to show nice control. Bring that foot down, bring the other one back up. Most people do this way too fast, just trying to get it over with. But yeah, you should do it. I kind of tell people, do it like a praying mantis, right? Like, you ever see a praying mantis? It looks like it's not even alive and then it pounces on you. But maybe that's not a good analogy. But anyway, from the side, you should look like this, right? And I want to see, what I tell my patients is, I want you to make sure I see you own that position, right? I don't want to see as people tend to just sort of like own it for a second and then into the next one. It's like they're basically falling into the next step. Okay, so that marching exercise, have people do at least a minute at a time, right? Maybe 2 to 3 rounds. It's a nice thing you can do throughout the day even. You don't even have to mix it in with your regular workout. But again, that just helps build some balance, some posture, helps keep the hips, core and everything going as you get ready for your big event. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, right? It's kind of it's a little bit of a niche video, but like if you're headed into a big event, I guess, right? And you're just like, how do I keep my leg muscles going? I don't want to get hurt, but I don't want to do too much. This is what I would do, okay? And there's some other ones that you could do too, but these are the 4 I picked. So hopefully if you're training for an endurance event and you're wondering what you can do, this answers that question. If you have any further questions, please let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.